I've always loved my little house. It's small, sure, but it's mine. Nestled at the end of a quiet street, surrounded by trees. It's the kind of place where you can hear the birds in the morning and the crickets at night. At least, that's what I used to think. Now I'm not so sure. It started on a Tuesday, just an ordinary day. I woke up, made coffee, and worked from home like I always do. I'm a freelance graphic designer, so my days are pretty predictable. I sit at my desk, which faces a large window overlooking the backyard, and I work. Sometimes I'll glance outside, watching the squirrels chase each other or the leaves rustle in the wind. It's peaceful, or at least it was. That Tuesday, though, something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it. The house was quiet, the way it always is, but the silence felt heavier, like it was pressing down on me. I tried to shake it off, telling myself I was just tired. But as the day went on, the feeling only got worse. Around noon, I took a break to make lunch. I was standing in the kitchen chopping vegetables when I heard it. A soft tapping sound, like someone knocking on glass. I froze, the knife hovering over the cutting board, and listened. It came again, louder this time. I walked to the living room, my heart pounding, and looked out the window. The backyard was empty, just the trees swaying in the breeze. I told myself it was probably a branch hitting the house, but the sound didn't come from outside. It came from inside. I turned around, scanning the room. The sound stopped. I stood there for a moment, my breath shallow, before forcing myself to laugh. "Get it together, Claire," I muttered, going back to the kitchen. But the unease lingered, like a shadow I couldn't shake. By late afternoon, the sky had darkened, and rain began to fall. I was back at my desk, trying to focus on work, but my eyes kept drifting to the window. The rain blurred the glass, turning the backyard into a hazy gray-green smear. I was about to close the blinds when I saw it. A shadow, just a flicker, really, moving across the edge of the yard. I leaned closer, squinting through the rain. It was probably a deer, I told myself, or a stray dog. But as I watched, the shadow stopped, right at the edge of the trees. It was too tall to be an animal, too still to be anything natural. My heart started to race. I grabbed my phone, ready to call someone, anyone, but the shadow was gone. The yard was empty again, just the rain falling in sheets. I sat back down, my hands trembling, and tried to convince myself I'd imagined it. But deep down, I knew I hadn't. The rest of the day passed in a blur. I tried to work, but my mind kept wandering back to the shadow. By the time night fell, I was exhausted, my nerves frayed. I decided to take a bath, hoping the warm water would help me relax. I lit a few candles, turned off the lights, and sank into the tub. The rain was still coming down, the sound soothing against the bathroom window. I closed my eyes, letting the tension melt away. For the first time that day, I felt calm. That's when I heard it, a whisper, so soft I almost missed it. My eyes snapped open and I sat up, water sloshing over the edge of the tub. The bathroom was empty, the candles flickering softly. I told myself it was just the wind, but the whisper came again, louder this time. Claire. My name. Someone had said my name. I stood up, wrapping a towel around myself, and grabbed the nearest thing I could find, a hairbrush. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. I crept out of the bathroom, my heart pounding, and checked the house. Room by room, I searched, but there was no one there. I ended up in the living room, standing in front of the window. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, and the backyard was bathed in an eerie silver light. I stared out at the trees, my reflection faint in the glass, and tried to steady my breathing. That's when I saw it again, the shadow. It was closer this time, just a few feet from the window. I froze, my grip tightening on the hairbrush. As the shadow moved, slowly, deliberately, it stepped into the light. It wasn't a person, not exactly. It was tall and thin, its limbs too long, its face featureless, except for two dark holes where its eyes should have been. It tilted its head, like it was studying me, and then it smiled. A wide, grotesque smile that stretched too far across its face. I stumbled back, tripping over the coffee table and landing hard on the floor. When I looked up, the shadow was gone. The window was empty, the backyard silent. I sat there for what felt like hours, my mind racing before finally crawling to the couch and curling up under a blanket. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the windows. The house was quiet, the way it always is, but the peace felt hollow. I spent the day trying to convince myself it had all been a dream, a trick of the light and my overactive imagination, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still there, watching me. That night, I closed all the blinds and locked the doors. I sat on the couch, a blanket wrapped around me, and stared at the window. The rain had started again, the sound steady and rhythmic. I told myself I was safe, that whatever I'd seen was gone. But then, just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard it, the tapping. It was coming from the window. I didn't move, didn't breathe, as the sound grew louder. And then I saw it, the shadow, standing just outside the glass, its featureless face pressed against the pane. It smiled that same grotesque smile, and this time, it spoke. "I'm still here.